In this video, I am going to be talking about 12 awesome story games that everyone who enjoys a great narrative in video games should play. The Quarry. Alright, let's dive into The Quarry. This game is a thrilling, interactive horror story that keeps you on the edge of your seat. You play as a group of teenagers who are spending their last night at summer camp. But things quickly go from fun to terrifying. The game starts with everyone excited for their last night together, but as the sun goes down, strange and creepy things start happening. You have to make choices for the characters, and these choices will decide who lives and who doesn't.
Nick! Oh my god!
It's like being in a scary movie where you control what happens next. The characters in The Quarry are really interesting. Each one has their own personality and backstory. As you play, you get to know them better and understand their fears and motivations. This makes the story more engaging because you care about what happens to them. One of the best parts of the game is the suspense. You never know what's going to happen next. There are moments when you have to make quick decisions, and these moments are very intense. The wrong choice can lead to a character getting hurt or worse. The game also looks amazing. The graphics are very detailed, and the setting of the camp at night is really creepy. The sound effects and music add to the scary atmosphere, making you feel like you're really there with the characters. The Quarry is a game that combines storytelling with horror in a very effective way. It's all about making choices and dealing with the consequences. If you enjoy scary stories where you get to decide what happens, you'll love The Quarry. It's like being in your own horror movie, trying to keep everyone safe while uncovering the mysteries of the night. Life is strange.
I just wanted to see what would happen if I did this.
I'm gonna kill you.
This game is all about choices and feelings. You play as Max, a girl who can rewind time. It's like a magic power she gets one day. The story is set in a small town called Arcadia Bay. Max comes back to her hometown after many years to go to school. There, she meets her old friend Chloe. Chloe is very different now and she needs Max's help. The story is about their friendship and a big mystery they need to solve. The cool thing about Life is Strange is the choices you make. Every choice changes the story. You can go back and change your decisions if you don't like what happens. This makes the game very interesting because you see how different choices make different outcomes. By the end of the game, the story gets very intense and emotional. There are many ups and downs, and you get really attached to the characters. The game also talks about serious topics like bullying, family problems, and growing up. It makes you think about real-life issues. The ending is very powerful and can make you feel a lot of emotions. Life is Strange is a great story game because it makes you care about the characters and their journey. It's easy to play and understand, and the timed rewind power is a fun twist. If you like stories where your choices matter and change the outcome, you'll love this game. It's like watching a good movie where you get to decide what happens next. Uncharted 4: A Thief's End.
Here we go.
Uncharted 4 is an exemplary tale of adventure, brotherhood, and the pursuit of treasure that brilliantly wraps up Nathan Drake's story. If you're a fan of high-stakes action and rich narratives, this game is an absolute must-play. The story begins with Nathan Drake, now retired from his treasure hunting days, living a quiet life with his wife, Elena. However, his past catches up to him when his long-lost brother, Sam, reappears with a tantalizing proposition: the hunt for the lost pirate colony of Libertalia and its legendary treasure. This setup pulls Nathan back into a world he thought he had left behind. One of the core strengths of Uncharted 4's narrative is its focus on character development and relationships. The dynamic between Nathan and Sam is central to the story. Their bond, filled with shared history and tension, drives much of the game's emotional depth. You see their relationship evolve as they embark on their perilous quest, revealing layers of loyalty, guilt, and sacrifice. The game does an excellent job of weaving in Nathan's internal conflict. He's torn between his adventurous past and his desire for a stable future with Elena. This tension adds a layer of complexity to his character and makes his journey all the more compelling. The narrative explores themes of identity and legacy, questioning whether Nathan can truly leave behind the life of a thief and what it means to chase dreams at the cost of personal relationships. The story is paced beautifully with a perfect balance of high-octane action sequences and quieter, character-driven moments. The flashbacks to Nathan and Sam's childhood are particularly effective, providing context and depth to their bond and motivations. These glimpses into their past make their current struggles and ambitions more relatable and poignant. The culmination of the story in Libertalia is nothing short of spectacular. The mythical pirate haven is brought to life with stunning detail, and the final act is a thrilling blend of action and emotional resolution. If you're looking for a game with a gripping story and well-developed characters, Uncharted 4 is an unforgettable experience that delivers on all fronts. Nathan Drake's final adventure is one that you won't want to miss. The Last of Us Part 1. One of the first things that struck me about The Last of Us is how beautifully crafted the world is. Despite the bleak setting, there's a haunting beauty to the environments. Overgrown cities, abandoned homes, and nature reclaiming the world are rendered with incredible detail. The game's art direction and environmental storytelling are top-notch, making every location feel unique and telling its own story of the world that once was. The gameplay in The Last of Us balances tense combat, stealth, and exploration. The encounters with infected and human enemies are intense and require strategic thinking. The limited resources and brutal combat mechanics emphasize the harshness of the world, making every encounter feel meaningful. Stealth is often the best approach, and the game's level design supports multiple playstyles, allowing you to tackle situations in various ways. The storytelling in The Last of Us is where the game truly shines. The narrative is gripping from start to finish, filled with emotional highs and lows.
Can't be for nothing.
The relationship between Joel and Ellie is at the heart of the story, and watching it develop is both touching and profound. The game doesn't shy away from dark themes and tough moral choices, making you question what you would do in their situation. The writing is sharp, and the dialogue feels natural, adding to the overall immersion. The game's sound design and music also deserve special mention. The sound effects are realistic and enhance the tension, especially during stealth sequences. The soundtrack, composed by Gustavo Santaolalla, is hauntingly beautiful and perfectly complements the game's emotional tone. The music adds another layer to the storytelling, making key moments even more impactful. While The Last of Us Part 1 is nearly flawless, it's worth noting that the game is very linear. This isn't a sandbox experience, but rather a tightly controlled narrative journey. For me, this works perfectly, as it allows the story to remain focused and impactful, but it's something to keep in mind if you prefer more open-ended games. In conclusion, The Last of Us Part 1 is a must-play for anyone who values storytelling in games. Its combination of a compelling narrative, rich character development, stunning visuals, and intense gameplay creates an unforgettable experience. Joel and Ellie's journey through a ravaged world is one of the most powerful stories in gaming, and it's an experience that should not be missed. If you're looking for a game that will move you, challenge you, and stay with you long after you've finished, The Last of Us Part 1 is the perfect choice. Mafia Definitive Edition. Let's talk about Mafia Definitive Edition, the 2020 remake of the classic 2002 game. This remake isn't just a visual upgrade, it's a complete reimagining that brings the story and characters to life in stunning detail. If you're a fan of gripping narratives and period pieces, this game is a must-play. You play as Tommy Angelo, a taxi driver who gets swept into the world of organized crime in the 1930s. The story follows Tommy's rise through the ranks of the Salieri crime family, and it's a tale filled with drama, betrayal, and intense moments. What I love about Mafia Definitive Edition is how it captures the essence of the original game while adding new layers of depth and nuance to the story and characters. The visuals in this remake are absolutely stunning. Lost Heaven, the fictional city based on Chicago, is beautifully recreated with meticulous attention to detail. The period-specific architecture, vintage cars, and atmospheric lighting make the city feel alive and authentic. Driving through the rain-soaked streets at night or watching the sunset over the city skyline are moments that really showcase the game's graphical prowess. The performances are top-notch, adding emotional weight to the story. You really get a sense of the characters' personalities and motivations, which makes the narrative even more engaging. Gameplay-wise, Mafia Definitive Edition strikes a good balance between action and storytelling. The combat is satisfying, with a mix of gunfights and melee combat that feels intense and impactful. The driving mechanics have also been improved, making the vintage cars a joy to drive. The game's missions are varied and well-designed, keeping you engaged throughout the story. One of the standout features for me is the game's commitment to its 1930s setting. The period-specific details from the radio broadcasts and music to the fashion and dialogue immerse you in the era. It's clear that a lot of care and attention went into making the world of Mafia Definitive Edition feel authentic and lived in. However, the game does have its limitations. The open world of Lost Heaven, while beautifully crafted, isn't as interactive as you might expect from a modern open world game. There's not a lot to do outside of the main story missions, which can make the city feel a bit empty at times. But for me, this isn't a deal breaker, as the focus is clearly on delivering a compelling narrative experience. In conclusion, Mafia Definitive Edition is a fantastic remake that revitalizes a classic story with stunning visuals and modern gameplay mechanics. If you're a fan of story-driven games and appreciate a well-crafted period piece, this game is definitely worth your time. It's an immersive cinematic experience that will keep you hooked from start to finish. Tommy Angelo's journey through the criminal underworld of Lost Heaven is one you won't want to miss. The Witcher 3 Wild Hunt. Alright, if we're talking about the best story games, we absolutely have to mention The Witcher 3 Wild Hunt. This game is an absolute powerhouse when it comes to storytelling, and it's one that I could talk about for hours. You play as Geralt of Rivia, a grizzled monster hunter navigating a war-torn world in search of his adopted daughter, Ciri. The story is incredibly rich and layered, filled with complex characters, political intrigue, and moral ambiguity. What really stands out to me is how well the game handles its main storyline alongside the countless side quests. Each quest feels meaningful and adds depth to the world and its inhabitants. The writing in The Witcher 3 is some of the best you'll find in any game. The dialogue is sharp and natural, and the choices you make have real weight affecting the story and the world around you. I love how the game doesn't shy away from tough, morally gray decisions. There are rarely any clear-cut good or bad choices, which makes every decision feel significant and impactful. The characters are another highlight. Geralt, with his dry wit and gruff exterior, is a compelling protagonist. But it's not just Geralt. The entire cast of characters, from the sorceress Yennefer to the lovable bard Dandelion, are well developed and memorable. Their personal stories and relationships with Geralt add so much to the overall narrative. Visually, the game is stunning. The world of The Witcher 3 is incredibly detailed and varied, from the bustling cities and war-torn villages to the dense forests and snowy mountains. The game's use of color and lighting is fantastic, creating an atmosphere that's both immersive and beautiful. Riding through a stormy night or watching the sunset over a lake are moments that really stick with you. The gameplay is equally impressive. Combat is fluid and satisfying with a mix of swordplay, magic, and alchemy. The monster hunts are particularly exciting, requiring you to research and prepare for each unique foe. The open world is packed with things to do, from exploring hidden treasures and crafting powerful gear to playing Gwent, the surprisingly addictive in-game card game. One of the most memorable aspects for me is how the game handles its lore. The world of The Witcher is steeped in rich history and mythology, and the game does an excellent job of weaving this lore into the story and the environment. It makes the world feel alive and believable. The Witcher 3 Wild Hunt is an epic adventure that raises the bar for storytelling in games. Its blend of deep, engaging narrative, complex characters, and a richly detailed world makes it a standout title. If you're looking for a game with a story that will keep you hooked from start to finish, this one is a must-play. Geralt's journey is one you won't soon forget. Disco Elysium. Alright, let's dive into the world of Disco Elysium, a game that has redefined what storytelling in video games can be. If you haven't played this gem yet, you're in for a treat. I have to say, Disco Elysium blew me away with its depth and creativity. You play as a down-and-out detective with a serious case of amnesia, trying to solve a murder mystery in the grungy, fictional city of Rivakul. What makes this game truly stand out is its dialogue and character interactions. The writing is sharp, witty, and often darkly humorous. Every conversation feels meaningful and can lead you down various narrative paths depending on your choices. The game doesn't just hand you the story, it lets you discover through exploration and dialogue, which makes it incredibly immersive. One of the coolest things about Disco Elysium is how it handles skills and abilities. Instead of just being stats that affect combat or simple tasks, your skills are like voices in your head, each with its own personality and opinion. This adds layers to your character and makes every decision feel significant. Your choices can lead to different outcomes, and the game has multiple endings based on how you play. It really feels like you're shaping the story with every decision you make. The art style is another highlight. It's this beautiful, painterly aesthetic that perfectly captures the bleak, melancholic atmosphere of the game. Combined with an evocative soundtrack, it creates an experience that's as much about the mood as it is about the narrative. But I won't lie, Disco Elysium isn't for everyone. It's very text-heavy, so if you're not into reading lots of dialogue, it might not be your cup of tea. However, if you love deep, narrative-driven games with rich, complex characters and a story that sticks with you long after you've finished, this game is a must-play. I can't recommend Disco Elysium enough if you're looking for a game that offers a truly unique storytelling experience. It's a masterpiece in narrative design and one of the best story games I've ever played. Red Dead Redemption 2.
In your lip? Shut up. Got some kind of rock in your boot?
Alright, let's talk about Red Dead Redemption 2, a game that absolutely floored me with its storytelling and depth. If you're into immersive narratives and rich character development, this one's a must-play. In Red Dead Redemption 2, you step into the boots of Arthur Morgan, an outlaw in the dying days of the Wild West. The story is gripping from start to finish, weaving a tale of loyalty, betrayal, and redemption. What I love about this game is how it makes you care about Arthur and the members of the Van der Lindang. Each character feels real with their own backstories, personalities, and motivations. The world of Red Dead Redemption 2 is incredibly detailed and alive. From the bustling towns to the vast open wilderness, every corner of this game is meticulously crafted. The dynamic weather and day-night cycle add to the immersion, making you feel like you're truly living in this world. It's the kind of game where you can get lost just exploring and taking in the scenery. The writing and voice acting are top-notch, the dialogue feels natural, and the characters are brought to life by outstanding performances. Arthur's journey is filled with emotional highs and lows, and the game doesn't shy away from tough, morally complex situations. It really makes you think about the choices you make and their consequences. Red Dead Redemption 2 is one of those rare games where everything just comes together perfectly. The story, characters, world building, and gameplay all combine to create an unforgettable experience. If you're looking for a game with a compelling narrative and a world that feels truly alive, Red Dead Redemption 2 is a game you can't miss. Trust me, it's an epic tale that will stay with you long after the credits roll. Now, here are some games to end the video with. A Plague Tale: Innocence.
But those ones are prettier.
Hugo, we have to keep moving.
Wait, come here.
What?
It will protect you, and is pretty too.
Mafia 2.
Well, how'd you make out?
Things got out of hand. There's nothing I could do about it.
We had an agreement, remember?
Cyberpunk 2077. Ghost of Tsushima.